Well, good Thursday morning, everybody. It is May 20th already. And today we are going to be looking at Acts chapter 16. We're going to jump into 16. We're just going to look at the first 5 verses, 1 to 5 today. And this is entitled, Timothy Joins Paul and Silas. But I think a better term or a better title for this section might be Do As I Say and Not As I Do, or maybe even Hypocrite. Or say what? All of those might apply better. Timothy joins Paul and Silas sounds kind of mundane, and there's actually some kind of interesting things that go on. There is very interesting thing that goes on in this bit of scripture. Though I am trying to get through this one again without my oxygen, so I'll be watching my O2 levels on my finger here as I talk to make sure I don't get too low. And so let's just dive right in, and we'll see what happens with Paul and as well as Silas and Timothy. Chapter 16, 1 to 5. Paul went on also to Derbe and to Lystra, where there was a disciple named Timothy, the son of a Jewish woman who was a believer, but his father was a Greek. He was well spoken of by the believers in Lystra and Iconium. Paul wanted Timothy to accompany him, and he took him and had him circumcised, because the Jews who were in those places, for they all knew that his father was a Greek. As they went from town to town, they delivered to them for observance the decisions that had been reached by the apostles and elders who were in Jerusalem. So the churches were strengthened in the faith and increased in numbers daily. Again, he's going back on this revisiting tour and re-strengthening and reaffirming to these churches that he's already started. Remember, he's going around up through from Antioch, he's going up to Tarsus and then to Derbe and Lystra, rather than the way they went before, where they went to Cyprus. And Barnabas and John Mark went to Cyprus. But here, it's interesting. As I said, this is do as I say, not as I do, because what's one of the first things he does? He has Silas, they meet up with Timothy. They decide Timothy has a lot of potential, and we typically believe this is the same Timothy that the letters, the pastoral letters are written to, 1st and 2nd Timothy. Don't know for sure. But at any rate, Timothy, his father is a Greek, his mother's Jewish, so by birthright he is Jewish, because that's how Judaism passes, through the maternal line, not through the paternal, but the maternal. Even though we talk about it being a patriarchal religion, it is through the matriarchy, not through the patriarchy. So he takes him and has him circumcised because of the Jews who were in those places. What? We've got this letter you're taking around, Paul. What's up with that? For crying out loud. Very next verse after this, verse 4. They're delivering to them for observance. They've got the letter from James. But yet they take Timothy and get him circumcised. What's to be made of that? Well, is he trying to avoid confrontation? Is he not quite? Is he just, Paul is such a vehement advocate of it, and then he turns right around and does this. And it looks like this is Paul's idea, that Paul wanted Timothy to come to him, and Paul, took him, Timothy, and had him circumcised. It's really quite a stunning verse. It kind of shows how double-minded we are as humans. We have to forgive Paul. He's human. But isn't this the way things go? Oftentimes we make decisions in life, especially in church, this happens, and we kind of weasel on those decisions. We kind of welch, if we want to use a harsher word, perhaps, on those decisions, and we don't quite live up to them, do we? We don't quite live up to the calling. And Paul, I'm sorry, this is 2 days in a row, Paul's fallen short. I'm sorry, Paul, but you don't get a passing mark yesterday, dealing with Mark, no pun intended, and you don't get a passing mark today, dealing with poor old Timothy. Now, Timothy, you gotta have a lot of respect for Timothy, that he's going to go. Wouldn't you, if you were Timothy, go, Paul? Wait a minute, you've got a letter in your pocket there, in your satchel or whatever, that's from James, saying I don't have to do this. So what's up? you got to admire Timothy that he was so devoted and dedicated to the cause that he went along with this. I would, it sounds like there was no, what do I want to say, pushback, but by golly, I would sure think he would have had some, protested at some degree, at some level, if nothing else would have made a face like, what are you talking about, Paul? And of course, we can question this in our society. Well, what's the deal? How are they going to know he's circumcised or not circumcised? That's not exactly something that you're walking around, even in that time. But the point is that we have to remember in those, and we forget, in those days the toilets were communal toilets. Men and women used the same facility, so everybody was in them. If you ever get to Israel, there's a place called Bet Shehan, which is a really remarkable place, and there's a very a large toilet, public toilet, and that's where everybody from town went there, and they were sitting literally shoulder to shoulder, men, women, children. It was a different way of doing things. So it was something that would have gotten out, let's say it that way, if he wasn't circumcised. But the point is why, Paul? We've just gone through this whole thing with the Jerusalem Council. We've just gone through this whole thing of traveling to Jerusalem to throw this pitch, to get this letter, to take around in there. You're taking that very letter on this tour, but yet you're having one of your fellows with you circumcised to avoid trouble. It just doesn't add up to me. I wish I could tell you that, a way that it makes it add up, but I don't see it adding up. I just see that it's Paul falling short again, and it's just another way that Paul is modeling for us not necessarily the best way to be. We need to have more faith in that. We need to have the faith of Timothy. That Timothy's like, okay, I'm all in. I'll do whatever it takes. I still even there. Everybody's fallen short on this one today. 2 days in a row. Poor Paul. Let's hope Paul does better tomorrow. But here I can't. I really have to shake my head at him and really wonder what is exactly going on. Is he trying to avoid? A lot of times people kind of sugarcoat it. Oh, he's just trying to avoid trouble. That doesn't seem to be Paul's MO, does it? Look at Galatians, for crying out loud. He's right in people's faces. This just seems so strange. I really wish I could explain it better than that, but I can't. Other than that humans are double-minded, we can understand when we're double-minded. But let's not be like Paul in this case. Let's not model ourselves after Paul. Let's try to be better. Let's have more faith in that. So with that, I'm going to let you go for today. Have a very blessed day. Enjoy it. Here in Lake City, at least, is another dreary, damp day. Hopefully, wherever you might be, you're having a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day and be a blessing to someone today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.